And the last thing we're going to do with this here, with this kind of style that we're going for, is add a column. What a column will do is I'll be able to put it in this corner here, and it will cover up any little imperfections that you might see with the connections. Now, this here, we could actually kind of use this as a design for, if I just do this here, as like an isometric game. So there's an isometric view, and you can see it looks pretty good. But there might be some imperfections, especially around here. It doesn't quite look perfect. So in fact, it looks all right. It's just there is a slight gap there. So I'm going to make a little pillar. Now this pillar should be really easy for even a beginner modeler to do. In fact, if you look up something on like Google Images, like low poly pillar, you'll find heaps of things like this. But I'm just going to guess from this one. I'll make something up. So I'll hit S and Z and kind of bring that down quite a bit. Get that top face. I might actually scale this up a little bit. Of course, I would do it properly and use the scale here if I was making this properly. So I would, when I scaled it up, I would do S and I would hold Control and scale it. Look in that top left corner, you see it's 222, etc. But I'm not going to do it for now. I'm actually going to leave it at this 2 here. All right, so let's get this top face. I'm going to inset it a little bit. I'm going to extrude it upwards. I will hit E and S and extrude it outwards. Then I'll extrude it upwards again. Then I'll inset it. Extrude up. ES, extrude out. We'll go all the way out there. And then hit that. And then I'll inset it again. I'm going to inset this quite a bit. This one here, I'll hit E. I'll do it a few times. Oh, I've got to actually get all the way to the top there. So let's probably make this a bit small down here. I'll just go up a couple more times. E, E, S, go out like that, and then up like that. Okay, that means this is going to look pretty funky in here, but it looks fine. Now these bits here, I like this kind of brick style that we've got going on, so I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to hit Control B, and I'm going to bevel them, but with kind of 2. So the default, it will go like that, and I'll add 2 to it. And then I'm going to select those middle rings on each one. So I've done this before. I'm going to scale them in, but if I scale them in like that, it's going to look terrible. So I need to exclude the x-axis, which is Shift Z, and I'll scale them in. So we'll just scale them in like that. I am going to modify these a little bit later. I'll select this bit on top, select this ring here, select all these bits on the side. Pretty much everything I'm going to bevel in a minute. That ring, that ring, that ring, that ring, that ring, and then all the way down the side, all the way down the side, all the way down the side. There's not much that I'm not actually selecting here. I just don't want to bevel those again, and I don't want to bevel these bits or that bit in there. Hit Control B, and I'll bevel that up, but I need to make sure I only bevel at 1 unit. Okay, so that looks like it's in the same style as the other ones. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it'll do. And then I might just scale it up a little bit so that I can see if I move that down there, it's going to extend just a little bit above it. And then Object, Apply, Scale, just in case I do anything with it. Now this here, I might isolate it, and we'll go into Edit mode. I'll turn on X-ray. I'm just going to grab some of these points. I'm going to rotate them a little bit, move them. Not all of them. I might switch to the side view and kind of rotate it here a bit. Grab this one, rotate it. Okay, so when I go back to it, it gives it a bit more of a natural look. Grab this top bit, just rotate that slightly. And also it would look quite cool if I do it down here. Cool. All right, so there we've got a pillar. Now what can I do with this? I'll turn X-ray mode off. I will unhide everything. Ooh, didn't mean to unhide that or that. And now with these things here, I can go hit GY and I can kind of position it in that corner. And I might just look at it from top view and I'll move it further out here. So if I go into my isometric viewpoint that I had before, now it kind of looks like that in the corner. So it looks like a little pillar in the corner. And let's say I had a whole bunch of these going along. So I'll go Shift Y and get it there, and Shift Y, move it to there. Probably should Alt D these, but it's fine. Now this one here, I can move it along and position it here. And what that means is I can also do stuff like this. Shift D, RZ90, and then I'm going to top mode for this. Position that right there, and it looks ugly there. I need to move it back into the wall more, but it doesn't look too bad. The thickness of these bits in the middle probably should be a lot thicker than what they are, but it does kind of help give us a little bit of a join. And so this was just me experimenting with a few things. Make some stuff like this and look at some examples online. The best place to get inspiration is just to type something like low poly dungeon or low poly assets into Google. The reason I suggest low poly is not because it's necessarily the best way to do it, but for beginners, it's really easy to model some stuff that looks good by keeping it fairly simple. You don't want to try and model something that's super high poly without understanding shapes and topology and how this stuff kind of works and looks good together. Because you could make something like this with 10,000 tries on it. This one it does not have 12,000 tries. It has, if I select it, it has 500 tries. About 1,000 when it's modded. And yes, you could make it really, really detailed and go in and sculpt all the little scratches into the rock and put little symbols in it and all kinds of things. But I think it's more important to start off by learning how to make the shapes look good and adding some texture to it rather than going full on Mudbox, ZBrush, sculpting route at the beginning without understanding how all this other stuff works. So in the next few videos, we'll take some of this stuff into Godot. I may actually make another tree that is a little bit more complex than the one that we made before, that kind of matches the level of detail that we've got for this. Because even though low poly stuff can look good, there's all different styles of low poly. And so you can have low poly that looks like this. You can have really, really low poly where it's just a flat wall, maybe with a texture on it. And our tree is probably a little bit simple, so we may go back in the next video, and I will go back in the next video and create a tree that's a little bit more complex.